What's up, Twitch.tv? I think we got a couple of people in here. I think this is working all right. It is Wednesday, November 21st, 2018, and after a month off, we have found a new home as well as the original. My name is Jargo. You're tuned into One Wrestling Video, also now streaming live at Twitch.tv/Hitting the Marks. One of these days, I'll get that address right. And this is NXT. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, now streaming live. If you would like to join the show, figure on joining me 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time most Wednesdays going forward at Twitch.tv/Hitting the Marks, then later uploaded here to One Wrestling Video. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about tonight's episode of NXT. If you are in the Twitch chat room, feel free. Drop a line here. We'll see if we can read your comment on the show as well as respond to any questions that you may have. Tonight's episode, pre-taped before TakeOver War Games this past Saturday night. Show opens up with a recap package of the entire War Games event. Matt Riddle versus Kassius Ohno, Shayna Baszler defeating Kairi Sane to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Tommaso Ciampa retaining the NXT Championship over the Velveteen Dream. Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders defeating Undisputed Era in the War Games match. We will talk about all of those matches as tonight's episode goes along, because I've only reviewed this show twice. Why not a third time, right? So tonight's show opens up. What's up, Paul? Oh, that's Paul Arzola. What's up, Paul? Good to see you, man. Tonight's show opens up your first action. Keith Lee defeats Fidel Bravo. Now, if you guys remember, going back a couple of months, we had this entire Johnny Bravo thing when Johnny Bravo was accusing a bunch of the WWE roster of taking steroids. Does anybody remember this whole thing? Johnny Bravo. And then we have Fidel Bravo. So my only conclusion here is that they are actually listening to hackerhameen.podbean.com. Now we're just going to start calling people infidels. First one on the list, Johnny Bravo. Keith Lee makes short work of Johnny Bravo. This guy, he looks absolutely ridiculous. He looks kind of like he might be the son of the Super Cop. Just throwing that out there. This is not the only time that we would see Keith Lee on tonight's episode. We then go to our first recap package from NXT TakeOver War Games, because let's all face it, if you're watching NXT tonight, chances are you didn't watch War Games, right? You obviously need video packages throughout this entire show to recap you on what happened. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler, 2 out of 3 falls. If you listen to the Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling podcast or join us Mondays in the locker room at hackerhameen.podbean.com, we've talked quite a bit about this match. If you're watching, let us know what you think about this match. I see there's a few of you out there watching. I had some issues with this match. This match was actually shorter than their match at Evolution, where Shayna Baszler captured the NXT Women's Championship from Kairi Sane. You can see me looking at the TV. I'm trying to watch the Lakers and Cavaliers as well here, ladies and gentlemen. 2 out of 3 falls. This match only went a little over 10 minutes. I had a lot of issues with this match and the match time. And then you have the War Games match, which goes about 47 minutes. I thought they could have cut about 7 minutes off of the War Games match and gave it to the women here in this 2 out of 3 falls match that they had Saturday night. Shayna Baszler, still your NXT Women's Champion. Then we get the recap of Kassius Ohno and Matt Riddle. I thought Kassius Ohno and Matt Riddle were supposed to fight on tonight's episode of NXT. What happened to that match? Really, that match at TakeOver? That's going to be it? That's all that you're going to give us for this whole Kassius Ohno versus Matt Riddle thing? They showed the entire segment over again. They showed the entire TakeOver segment all the way down to the Matt Riddle promo, Kassius Ohno coming out and responding, and then Matt Riddle knocking him out. I didn't understand this whatsoever, let alone on an episode of NXT tonight. Then we have Lars Sullivan, who we know is going to the main roster, and he comes out and he destroys enhancement talent Keto Murray. So Lars just absolutely destroys this guy, goes after Keto after he says that he wants his shot at the NXT Championship, which makes no sense when we're running vignettes for him on the main roster. But out comes Keith Lee. Keith Lee versus Lars Sullivan? Yes, please. It sounds like we're going to get this match next week on NXT TV. Lars Sullivan's going to put over Keith Lee before departing for the main roster. I like that. I'm really hoping that we get to see Keith Lee just toss Lars Sullivan around like a sack of potatoes like he has been doing with some of these local enhancement talents. If he can do that with Lars Sullivan, we might really have something here with Keith Lee. If you're watching out there in the Twitchverse, what do you guys think of Keith Lee? Because at this point, I'm still not sure how I'm supposed to feel about Keith Lee. He's presented as this ever-popular babyface, but everything about Keith Lee says heel to me. So I don't necessarily understand what we're doing with Keith Lee at this point. Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. We get the video package, the recap package that is Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. And then we get a backstage vignette with Aleister Black. And we're trying to figure out, is this the end of the Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano feud? And instead, we see Candice LeRae. And Aleister Black walks up to Candice LeRae. And again, Candice just stares down Aleister Black. Can I get Candice LeRae versus Aleister Black? I would love to see that match. Although we're going to talk quite a bit about Candice LeRae here in just a couple of minutes. Velveteen Dream and Tommaso Ciampa. We get the video package and the recap of the epic match that was from TakeOver War Games. Absolutely love this match. I'm very interested to see what they do with Velveteen Dream going forward, because obviously Tommaso Ciampa is going to be moving on once again to Aleister Black. I assume that is going to be your big match at TakeOver Phoenix. We then get a backstage little scuffle with Keith Lee and Lars Sullivan. This is when the match is announced that it is going to happen next week on NXT TV. Really looking forward to that match. Then we get the War Games video recap package. Of course, we had the War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne going over the Velveteen Dream Saturday night in the War Games match, which I still think was a terrible, terrible idea. I don't think that there was any benefit to Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders going over Undisputed Era, but I absolutely feel like Undisputed Era lost something in losing that match. That was a big win that they absolutely needed. Then we have your main event of NXT TV tonight, Candice LeRae going up against crazy Nikki Cross. It's a hometown matchup for Candice, and we all know how WWE books. When it comes to your hometown, you have to lose. Nikki Cross goes over Candice LeRae in this match. We even got boos for Candice LeRae in Los Angeles, which is just ridiculous to me considering that she's from Anaheim. What does this win mean for Nikki Cross? Obviously, we saw Nikki Cross debut on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago against Becky Lynch, losing that match, and everybody kind of was wondering, what are we going to do with Nikki Cross now? Well, obviously, Nikki Cross is not going anywhere. Nikki Cross is going to stay inside of NXT. It wouldn't even surprise me if we get Nikki Cross versus Shayna Baszler again, which is not a match that I'm looking forward to. It seems as though with Baszler, we're going to have Kairi, Sane, Io Shirai, and Dakota Kai going up against Baszler, Shafir, and Jessamine Duke. So it's looking like it's going to be a six-man, maybe moving forward into a regular match at TakeOver Phoenix. But I don't know who is going to be filling that spot. I'm kind of with the Andrew Bello over at the Next Level podcast. I kind of want to see Dakota Kai be the one to take this title from Shayna Baszler at this point. If we remember, that's how this entire thing started, was with Baszler bullying poor Dakota Kai. As for Candice LeRae, Candice LeRae, I think, is probably the biggest ball drop that we have had in the history of NXT. I was very, very excited when they signed Candice LeRae, but I was afraid, given the timing, that they had actually signed Candice Gargano, and it seems as though those fears are absolutely coming true. All Candice does is put people over at this point. It's a damn shame, because Candice is so freaking good, but on the independent scene, you had Tougher Than You, Candice LeRae, and inside of NXT, we're just portraying her as Mrs. Gargano. Even at the end of this episode, Mauro Ranallo calls her Candice Wrestling. Now stop it. Stop that. We do not want Candice Wrestling. Just let her be Candice LeRae. Stop with the Mrs. Gargano stuff. Make her her own person. Candice could be carrying this division right now, but instead they've got her wrapped up inside of this Johnny Gargano thing, and it's just awful. Not what I want to see out of Candice or Johnny at this point. So that's going to wrap things up for this week's show. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, then search for Hitting the Marks on your favorite podcast listening device so you never miss RBV and I on the Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. Also, give us a subscription here at One Wrestling Video so you never miss any of the content from our amazing group of producers. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week, right back here at twitch.tv/Hitting the Marks, One Wrestling Video. For This Is NXT, this is Jargo. I'm signing off.